pick up where we left off with Christian excusologist Mike Winger telling us how if we just wait long enough, we'll all come to see hell as a beautiful thing and praise God for his perfect judgment.
There's this amazing passage in Revelation 19 where they're actually praising God for his judgment on Great Babylon, right? And he's punishing them and punishing the wicked, and the saints are worshiping God because his judgments are good. In fact, this is what Psalm 119 says: your judgments are just and true, and they're pure. Like, God's judgments are actually good. Well, Revelation, here's why it's so encouraging to me. This passage comes at a time when the saints are standing and beholding the judgment of God, but they're also beholding the God who is judge. And when they see not just their mental image of a wrathful God beating up on people, but they see the true, righteous, pure, perfect, holy God, and they see perfect justice being meted out against humans, but they see this in the right context of God's holiness, they're actually praising God.
Wait, who are the wicked ones here? I think I'm lost.
What I'm saying is, you don't maybe get it now, but there's a day when you will get it, and all you have to do is wait. All you have to do is wait, and you say, Lord, I don't understand this, but I trust you. I trust your character, and I will choose to trust in your goodness and not try to make, and catch the silliness of this, Sean, not try to make judgment calls on God's judgments. This is silly. We're setting ourselves up as the judge of God.
No, Mike. We're setting ourselves up as the judge of what people say about God. People like you who try to tell us that love and eternally torturing sentient creatures are not mutually exclusive propositions. You and I are in the same boat, Mikey. Neither of us knows anything demonstrable, repeatable, actionable about God. His existence, his will, his character, none of it. All you have is beliefs, Mike, based on the writings of Bronze, Iron, and Classical Age ignoramuses who didn't know where the sun went at night. You're trusting them and their character, their goodness, not God's. And let me tell you, what they wrote about God gives me no confidence whatsoever that this being is just and true and pure and good. What are you smoking, Mike, that you've somehow found a way to think fondly of genocide, misogyny, homophobia, the eternal conscious tormenting of sentient creatures, which you'll one day see as a beautiful thing? I can't imagine ever thinking fondly of such things, or the being responsible getting my praise and adulation. Oh, but maybe if I wait, right?
This is where you just have to simply look at yourself and say, if I disagree with God, I've got to be wrong somewhere. I don't know where yet. I'll find out later, but I've got to be way off base somewhere. It's like if I came up to someone who's building a wall and they're a master mason, and I look at them and I go, what are you doing, man? That looks so weird. In my brain, I cannot understand any reason why you do that. It doesn't seem safe or wise. But there's a little part of me, a little voice in my head that says, Mike, you don't know anything about this wall or building walls. You just glanced at it and you made a judgment. This is the master mason. You should just let him do his job.
Yes, you just have to be way off base on that whole genocide thing and slavery and killing homosexuals and eternal conscious torment. Your horror at the thought of these atrocities couldn't possibly be correct. If God be for them, who can be against? Certainly not little old you. Don't question. Don't think for yourself, and whatever you do, don't listen to those allegedly God-given moral intuitions that God gave you to distinguish between right and wrong, good and evil. God is holy and you're not. That's why you can't possibly understand or see the beauty of eternal conscious torment or genocide or slavery, etc. God's holiness is above you. So all you can do is accept his judgments, whether you understand them or not, and you'll be judged on that. How else could you possibly get people to, for instance, hate homosexuals? Your own children sometimes, other family members, friends, etc., whom you know to be otherwise good and decent people. How else could you possibly get people to treat women as though they're not the equal of men when you damn well know they are? How else could you get people to enslave others and treat them as property when you know that no one deserves that kind of treatment? Well, you trust God and His holiness, which is way beyond our understanding. God's holiness stops us from thinking and having empathy for others, turning us inhuman, literally. Our humanity is supplanted by God's holiness and our mindless devotion to it. Holiness is evil's gateway drug. It's the path to genuine horror as you surrender your decency and all your moral intuitions to some future understanding about how everything in you says is truly evil, like eternal conscious torment. Well, that's actually a good thing. And let's not fail to notice that this required trust and patience in waiting for this understanding, which seemingly can't possibly be secured now, is never in the service of the good. It's always an understanding about how something truly awful will one day be seen in the glorious light of God's true, pure, and holy judgment. At which point, we'll all rejoice. You will not find Christian excusages asking you to trust God and be patient in seeking understanding, because the Bible, way back in the Bronze and Iron Ages, asked men, for instance, to recognize the equality of women, or of all races throughout the world, or even something as simple as trusting God about the commandment He could have given to wash our hands when preparing and handling food. Michael Jones from the Inspiring Philosophy channel says that God couldn't have forbidden the Israelites from engaging in the ubiquitous practice of slavery because they weren't morally ready for that. You know, after just having been allegedly enslaved by the Egyptians for the last 400 years. But they were ready for genocide. Woohoo! Why is it that we today have to trust God and be patient in terms of understanding God's ways when it comes to hell or genocide or slavery or homophobia? But God's people back some 3,000 years ago didn't have to trust God and be patient, knowing that they would one day, perhaps only in the next life, understand the holiness of a God who bans slavery or misogyny, even when the rest of the world is practicing both. Why didn't they have to be patient and trust God when He gave them truly morally transcendent instructions they couldn't understand in their time? Let's also not fail to notice that when the good is to be found in the holy books of the tribal war God of Abraham, trust, patience, and a future understanding is never preferred or advocated. You will not find a video of Mike Winger urging his viewers to sell all their earthly possessions as Jesus instructed and give all the money to the poor, trusting that God will look out for them like He looks out for the lilies of the field or the birds of the air. Voltaire said, "Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities." Well, the greatest of those absurdities is getting people to believe in an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving God whose allegedly holy ways violate every intuition we have regarding basic human decency and goodness, and whose instructions nevertheless must be embraced and carried out by those who've surrendered their critical faculties so that they won't be the target of God's atrocious character and will in the next life. We don't need to wait to understand any of this. It's moral cowardice, pure moral cowardice and nothing less. To be okay with this, to one day understand such horrors, the decent thinking people among us would have to be turned into people who are no longer themselves, lacking their moral intuitions and empathy, and their regard for others completely. Thank you, but no. Hell no. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.